This episode is for Friday, February 19th, 2016. Welcome, Crater fans. I'm your host, Josh Owens, along with my special guest co-host.
And I'm Abhi Aiyer.
Welcome, Abhi.
Man, this is the first time I've ever hosted this show with you.
Yeah.
And, I watch this show every week. Religiously, I watch the show. And it's really cool that I'm on the show now as the host.
That is
pretty
cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan, so it's great. It's kind of fanboyism just sitting in this chair right here, about to talk on Creator Podcast.
Nice. That's awesome. So do you watch the YouTube version then? Or
I watch everything Space Dojo puts out, religiously. When it comes on the podcast thing, on my podcast app, I get up from my desk, I go for an hour walk just so I can hear Ben make fun of himself and some good things going on.
Yeah,
but yeah,
nice.
I watch the YouTube too.
Nice.
So people are going to see us on YouTube right now, right?
Yeah, they'll see I was just saying before we started, I like your Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, guys, got to rep the Hawaiian shirt. It's Hawaiian Shirt Friday.
Yeah, I feel like I probably can pull that off. I got Digital Ocean today.
Ooh. Yeah, you always have the cool tech shirts. The only tech shirt I have is this work pop shirt I'm wearing. Well, actually, I'm not even wearing a work pop shirt. I usually wear one on Friday too. I forgot.
Nice. Yeah,
it's that routine in my schedule to wear this stuff.
I was looking through my closet the other day and realized I'm totally lacking a React logo T-shirt. I need to figure that out.
Totally.
That's my new jam, I guess.
Nice. That's good.
Yeah, we just did a Space Dojo show with Wes Boss, so that was awesome.
Nice. Yeah. He covers a lot of React for beginners and stuff. His content's really good too.
Yeah. Yes. It should be an awesome show. All right. So this week we'll get into it. We're going to be talking about Apollo to the moon, Alice. Deep Stream, Deco, and JavaScript fatigue. What?
They're getting creative these days with their post titles. Thankfully, this author is really good. So
yeah. So again, I'm continuing this experiment of picking the top voted kind of topics off of Crater.
Mm-hmm.
I took it off the last 2 weeks since we were doing CraterConf last week, which was also awesome.
That was fun.
Feel like I really had some knowledge dropped on me, which was crazy cool. And those will be coming out on YouTube too, so keep an eye out for those. But yeah, so the big topic of maybe the last 2 weeks is we had multiple stories that would have made it into the top. I just kind of merged them together. Is Apollo.
Apollo.
Which, had we been talking about this last week, we'd have been talking about reactive GraphQL, but this week it's called Apollo. So I thought that was kind of a fun play on this is an early foray into reactive GraphQL. Fun name. And the interesting thing to me is the data layer was a repo under Meteor, but this is actually a whole there's an Apollo stack organization now, and Apollo is one of the things coming out of it. The other thing there is Relay standalone and Relay runtime query. So I think there's they're starting to get some repos up and they're starting to play around with things. And if you haven't looked at it yet, I would say go take a look. The link in the show notes. They've got a high-level reactivity kind of markdown guide. I'm looking over here at my second screen. And they just talk about what all is going to be involved. And this thing looks pretty crazy. You're going to have an invalidation server and a caching server, most likely. And then you've got the app server, which is going to serve stuff up. So, I mean, it looks crazy complicated. Have you taken a look at this?
Yeah. So when reactive GraphQL first came out on just the design doc, I scrubbed through it and I put a bunch of comments asking Sashko, what about this? What about that? Certain edge cases I was thinking, and Man, that guy's very thoughtful. He
Hmm.
knows the right answer to the customer. Like I'm approaching this as if I was going to buy the reactive GraphQL. So he did it very well. Like addressed my concerns and told me like why I was wrong in a really good way. So like I really appreciated that. The cool thing is like at first it looks like a DevOps nightmare, right? Like you come in here, you have to manage all this stuff. But like whether that's true or not, like as a client developer or as a web developer, like you're going to be so much more flexible in anything you do. By
Yeah.
you know,
Well, I was talking to someone, and I said, looking at this is something I would expect to see a hosting company would come out with, right?
yeah, and
Because they're totally going to be like, "Oh, it's so hard. Just come pay us some money, and we'll make it super easy." And it's like, that's pretty smart. I gotta
it's
hand
really
it.
smart. I mean, Meteor, right, is going to be, or Galaxy is like this hosting behemoth, and with the pre-render service they just did, now like, people who have Galaxy memberships can get the pre-render IO integration, and I wouldn't be surprised if they say, "Oh yeah, we'll manage all of this all this Apollo stuff if you pay us a little bit more money." It's
Yeah,
it's a good offering. It's just like if you're an independent developer or a contract developer, like it's hard to take advantage of these things when you have to manage it all yourself.
yeah.
That's the tough part.
It
But
it, it can be right. Like I gave a talk at CreatorConf about building my own Galaxy setup, which
yeah,
includes things like I run my own pre-render server for Crater.
yeah,
But I gotta say, like between the spam and dealing with that and just setting all this stuff up, I bet I spent a good 2 weeks of time
yeah.
on that thing, which isn't trivial. And like I shared during the talk a lot of my configs and setups and plan to do it in a blog post as well. But I mean, it's not a small thing to manage all this, and
It's not a small thing, but also you're very passionate about that type of stuff. So
I
like,
am.
right? So it's like 2 weeks of hard work plus passion. That's that. But like someone like me who doesn't care, I do care, but like I don't have the same like passion for going to figure that stuff out. Like for me, if I don't have the funds, then I probably won't have Apollo.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that's not the case. Because if it's a commercial offering and I'm a Joe Schmo with a one man team, it's gonna be tough. I'll
Yeah.
be doing things the old way.
Well, I think as long as they use some off-the-shelf components, right? Like
Yeah,
whatever the invalidation server is, if they're able to do something that's not too hard to run, I don't think that's going to be that bad.
yeah. I think they mentioned in the Meteor Night presentation, Matt had a Meteor Night presentation about Meteor's goal to support any database. And this is like getting us in the right direction because I know a lot of people don't like Mongo, which is funny because they think it's bleeding edge, but eBay and Stripe use MongoDB. But like if people get more comfortable with other DBs, then maybe Meteor gets a little bit bigger in terms of like patrons and stuff. So
Yeah,
or, you know,
which could be interesting as well. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I wanna watch the video. I didn't catch it last night, so maybe we'll talk about it next week. But
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Like this whole thing is super interesting to me, and I got to watch Aaron Oda's talk on GraphQL, and I don't know how I feel about it. Like I think in the end it's going to be a good change, but at the same time, like um, I think it's going to be harder to
Yeah.
write. The kind of the publications that we have now. There's going to be a little more boilerplate to it, and it'll be a little more work, which is maybe we get more power down the road, and
Yeah.
it's definitely something that I don't think it'll be as easy to use out of the gate. And I don't did
Totally.
did Matt talk about that at all? Like what's happening to DDP as a result of this?
No, no, it's very like kissing. Was it kissing babies and like shaking hands type thing, where like he's just giving you like the surface level stuff.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that's okay. That gets people inspired.
yeah.
One thing that I like to point out is like when WorkPop started, we had all this legacy like publications and stuff,
Hmm.
and now that we've like a bigger team and we're a lot smarter and we know Meteor more, like we still have to fight this like legacy schema that is like propagated throughout the whole app for the last year. So
Hmm.
GraphQL is really interesting to us because on the client, we don't want to deal with this like really gross schema. Like, we don't have the time
Hmm.
to deal with it. So let's just transform it into something the client can use and can use efficiently. So what we've
Right.
been doing in the meantime is, simple schema. Like, what we do is we have a client schema and a server schema, and we have like these transformation functions that handle this type of thing. So the client is like has the easiest data possible to manage.
I see.
But you lose a lot of stuff by doing that. You lose like the mini Mongo reactivity, and we didn't really care about that. But having a reactive GraphQL layer to do that translation for you, man, that would help us out a lot. So
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe you're highlighting the point of like my problems are different than your problems because the
yeah,
products that I work on are like an order of magnitude different, I suppose. Most
yeah,
of the time, if I'm working with Meteor, it's like me and one other person,
yeah.
and not really like a huge team of 5, 6 developers, which I have been there before, working at Outright, which got bought by GoDaddy, and they had a team of like 30 people, and I was on the API team, and they had like front end team, and all this.
Hmm.
Like it was a pain, and I can totally understand that for sure. So I don't know. I think it's interesting. I they moved the repo, so I'm actually already watching it. So I started watching the reactive GraphQL when they first put it up, or the
Yeah.
data repo, and that was quite a bit of noise out of the gate, and then it's kind of calmed down. When they made the name announcement, someone was being funny and put some pictures in there too.
Do you know who's on that team for the data team?
I know it's Sashko. So I just did all this like 2 weeks ago, maybe. I wrote, I modified the contrib article on Meteor. Oh, here you go. And they changed it up a little more. Just, I think it's Sashko and it's Justin is on the team.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
So yeah, those guys are smart. They'll definitely figure some cool stuff out.
yeah, yeah. I would agree. I have some trust there,
Yeah,
and
totally.
I'll be watching, and you should be watching as well.
Yeah, and all the listeners start watching.
Yes, definitely.
Shall we
All
go to
right.
the next one?
Yeah. What should we be
Oh,
using instead of Meteor?
that's funny. I don't have the good segues like Ben does, but let's get into the next one. So there's this cool service called DeepStream.io. And what it is it's pretty much an open source framework for real-time web development. Everyone's heard that story before. But it's the interesting thing about this is it's built by a dev shop called Hoxton One. And Hoxton One, they build like real-time financial apps. So like most of the DeepStream examples are like, you have like a mobile app and a web app, and you're like touching graphs at the same time, and you can see on both devices that the data is doing everything in real time.
Hmm.
And so what I did is before the show, I built a small little app with DeepStream, and literally it took like 20 minutes, 30 minutes to get it going.
Wow.
It's really quick, and I'll say this: like DeepStream, what it does is you pretty much can make a little node server that has our DeepStream package. So that's the little node server, and what it does is it listens to messages, like kind of like PubSub. We've all heard this before,
Hmm.
and it updates all the clients that are listening to these messages. It has a message layer. It also has a caching layer for like just like data that you're going to be fetching constantly. So it's very trivial. And then the last thing is like this the actual data layer. So you have to plug and play your own data layer. So for the
Hmm.
one that I did RethinkDB because they have a RethinkDB connector. So
Uh-huh.
it's like just another npm package called like DeepStream RethinkDB. And all you got to do is there's just these nice API methods where you just create a new connector, and all your data will just stream to a little RethinkDB instance.
Hmm.
So that's the server end. So all you got to do is pretty much do like an npm install, a couple little configurations, and then it's like just like a regular Node app. On the front end, however, it's a little different. There's like a DeepStream client. There's like a client interface of DeepStream where you actually get it from Bower. Hopefully, it's going to be on npm because who uses Bower anymore? And it has some really nice, like really basic methods. So for what I did, I didn't have any auth, but they do have authentication. You can you can just log into your DeepStream server via this method just called .login. It logs you into your server like with no authentication, and pretty much you have access to like the DeepStream server. You can just get records from them, like pretty much just like record.get username, or record.set some object, and it'll actually like update those pieces of data reactively, and you can actually subscribe to these certain records. So it has this really deep API that just allows you to have like these subscriptions on the client, and the add and update methods that we all know. And pretty much when those things happen, like these reactive updates happen instantly. So I built like this small to-do app, and you can use any front-end framework. You can use like Vue or React. I used React, and man, it was dope. It was
I'm
really
looking
simple.
I'm looking at the docs now for the React part. Yeah, it looks pretty easy. So you just make a subscribe call, huh?
Yeah, you just do a subscribe call, and any sets that you do on whatever you're subscribed to will automatically update any UI that's bound to that item.
Mm.
So it was really cool, and you can actually like get you can do like in RethinkDB. There's like these I think it's called requill. It's kind of weird, requill queries. And like since RethinkDB is kind of like a table structure, you can like get the table from the DeepStream DB. You can just grab the to-dos table, which I had, and manipulate data like that. So it was a very interesting learning experience. I'm glad I got assigned this topic, because it really took like 25 minutes to get going. And if I wanted to build an app further, I probably would. The only thing is, Meteor handles a lot of this for you,
Mm-hmm.
and then it handles it a lot of this for you in a more broad sense, where like you're not confined to this pub sub type model. Like in Meteor, we have Meteor methods,
Mm-hmm.
and we have all these other types of client side data management with reactive vars and such. Like Tracker is a little evil sometimes, but I think like it does its job pretty well.
Yeah.
But if you're looking to do like some small like toy app, like this is super perfect. You want to make some type of Instagram fetcher or something, or like a YouTube streamer, something like that, or something that you would want to do real time in, like maybe little Uber cars going around. Like, it's perfect. Super simple. And I recommend anyone just try it and have fun. It's really fun to just play with it.
Yeah. It's like it looks interesting. Just looking at these docs. Yeah. Like I totally didn't even go this deep, so I'm glad you did. That's awesome.
Yeah, dude. I think this real-time stuff is getting a little crazy. Like everybody wants real-time web.
Mm-hmm.
But I constantly always wonder, like, how many things like need to be real-time?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how many things actually need to be real-time? I don't
Yeah.
know.
I think it's interesting you bring this up, right? Because we had the talk from Dom about kind of like building a real time UI, and it kind of forces you to rethink how you are going to update the UI and use like animations and that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
you don't necessarily always need things to move around the screen once they update, right? So if you look at something like Crater, changing what stories are where on the page will happen reactively. But when you add a new story, you actually have to like click a button to get it updated.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know, like, is that sometimes like I'll be on Product Hunt and be like, man, I wish I would have just updated. And then you hit the refresh button and you move on in life, right? Is that a
Yeah.
thing?
It's probably not,
Yeah,
It's
maybe.
not.
I don't know.
I
It's
guess there's something should be real time, something shouldn't. But half the time you can just fake it on the client. Like you
yeah,
could literally just fake it and no one would know.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
I would agree with that. I think it's just more work to fake it, but at the same time, like it takes more server resources or more
Yeah.
client resources to make it real time. So,
Yeah. Yeah, if you're strapped for server resources, then faking it is probably your best bet.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I I think that's the first thing you want to ditch when you start having scaling problems with Meteor is like, do I really need all of this data to be reactive? Does it
Yeah.
all need to go through live query? And there's been some interesting talk about that as well.
Hmm.
Speaking of Uber, little cars moving around from Uber, we had this awesome 5 minute screencast on YouTube. Did you watch this thing?
Dude, I watched it and it's really cool.
I
But
mean, I
I'm
was sitting there,
I'm skeptical though. There's so much magic going on.
but that's the thing. I don't think it's that much magic. I think they're just really number one. I think they're better versed in React Native than maybe you or I are, and so like they know
Yeah.
the ecosystem better. And sometimes it makes for a good demo to just pull in a couple packages and be like, "Ooh, look, shiny," But
Yeah.
at the same time, like they're firing up simulators and like reloading the page and building out an Uber UI. And like the thing is, when I got done watching it, I started thinking like, what did they actually do in that 5 minutes? And they created a UI
Hmm.
for an application that they could go on and build. But my guess is like, it would take them at least a day to get a lot of that infrastructure in place to actually start to approach anything close to what Uber has. But the thing is, like, it's still pretty amazing that they were able to get that mocked down in 5 minutes with this
Yeah.
little IDE. So super interesting to me.
Yeah, like I wonder how that 5 minute demo is like a very happy path like demo, you know. I wonder what a real developer experience is with building like non-trivial things. It looked like, you know, you can just drop a map view, you can just drop like that in there, and that's cool because someone that's not you spent the time to actually build out the view and like build it in a composable way. So you can just drop map views everywhere, but if you're building something like outside the realm of what they offer, like I wonder what the community is like, or are you contributing back to these little modules, you know, that people are going
Yeah, yeah, that's a
to be.
good point. But they are also starting to do some kind of module discovery from the looks of it. So again, this is React Native, and so I think like if you look at it, the a lot of that map view stuff I think comes from React Native itself.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that they're relying on any third-party modules for that, but it's super interesting to me because they talk about how they're trying to like filter out these React Native packages that you can then call into your app and kind of rely on, which is super awesome. We were talking about something similar. Like, there's a couple websites like react-components.com, but there's not like a lot of great ways to necessarily go discover React
yeah.
components. So
And here's my I have a little bit of qualms with React components or React.parts, like these websites.
yeah,
Like it's hard to find quality components on those websites because a lot of people, when you're writing components, you have like these personal assumptions about the component, like whether it's blue or green, or like, you know, all these little things that when like someone who wants to just consume that package has to like go through all these hoops, like, oh, like it has its own style sheet. Well, I didn't want a style sheet, you know, like or it does something that's against my style guide. Well, you know, that sucks, you know. Anyway, like things like this, I think are after I've seen a lot of React Native code, and I don't see this problem in React Native, like shared React Native things, you know. I think I don't know, a lot of the React Native components I've seen have been really high quality, so maybe I haven't seen any bad ones yet. So
mm.
that's really cool. The React parts that I've seen for the web, I've seen some bad quality ones for sure.
Yeah. Well, and maybe the interesting difference there is the lack of direct CSS support, or there's I can't I can write some style sheet stuff for React Native, but I can't really like say like, oh, this is the bootstrap map component, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just Flexbox and it's there, and you're kind of just laying out your UI that way. So
Hmm.
um yeah, I don't know. You may be right just in the fact that like if someone's building a mobile app, they're taking the time to do it right.
Yeah, maybe. Especially
Interesting.
mobile is so important. Like don't use Cordova, use React Native, you know?
Mhm. So, that's interesting. I'd love to get your opinion on this too, like being part of a bigger team. You guys like hired some iOS guys and went native, but now that if you had it to do over again, would you look at React Native? Like now that you guys start to use React?
If we were to do it over today,
Mm-hmm.
we would probably use React Native or full web, but the dream would be to still go native.
Mm-hmm.
But for us, we just had the talent at the time. Like we got lucky. We had the talent, so we did it. One thing that sucks about Meteor and native iOS development and Android development is it breaks the cycle of what these developers are used to.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Meteor iOS is awesome because Martin or Martin or whatever, he's keeping up with his GitHub project for that, and he's also part of Meteor Core.
Mm-hmm.
But the Android scene for DDP is really, really crappy. Like we've had to wrestle a lot of nasty connection bugs and stream errors and all this stuff.
I mean, it's interesting, but I think maybe is that a symptom of the fact that like the developer community tends to use more iOS, whereas
I think
Android is more of an everyman's kind of device. I don't know.
Yeah, no, yeah, and that's true. But I think what I'm trying to get at is like this whole WebSockets thing versus REST. That's the thing that people get like caught up about.
Yeah.
The cool thing about React Native, and let's say we didn't have any iOS or Android developers, like if you're a Meteor developer, you understand PubSub, you understand Meteor methods. Let's say you're also just a regular web developer, you can create REST APIs. Like so, when you go into your like the mobile space and you're doing this React Native or Cordova stuff, you got all the back end or front end components down. The thing you may lack is just the experience to know like how a mobile app should feel. Like if you're working with mobile apps, you just have like this like it's like a designer who can look at a page that's not to spec. You just know that there's padding off. You look at it, Same with like iOS developers, they just feel it and they're like, whoa, this feels a little weird. So that's something that you lack there. Is that worth like the business risk of investing all that money to get people like that? No, but it's not worth it. But if you have the talent and you can do it, totally do it.
Yeah. Interesting take. All right. So I'm kind of curious now. Is this kind of bring it back around to Deco? Is this available now? Can people like get this? Deco. Sign up. Yeah. It looks like you have to request it. Okay. So no, it's not like fully open yet.
Yeah, it's in beta, I believe.
Yeah, but you gotta like, it's not like download our beta. It's like give us your email. It might be in the welcome email. So give it a try.
Yeah, it's super fresh,
Yeah, I plan at some point this year, probably like around May. I plan to do a React Native training.
Oh yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah, I think I may just use this because it looked amazing. It looked amazing.
Yeah, I think there's still value in teaching people tools, like this.
Yeah. Speaking of tooling, I'm tired of the JavaScript fatigue. I'm getting fatigued. Tell me more.
So you're getting fatigued about JavaScript fatigue.
Yeah.
And so there's this. So the last topic is JavaScript fatigue, and I know what you guys are thinking. You're listening. You're like another article about JavaScript fatigue. Well, thankfully, this author is Axel Roschmeyer, and he's written a book called Learning ES6. He has a great website called Tuality.com with all his like musings about JavaScript, and he gives some great advice, like really great advice. That he says he understands that web development is overwhelming, and I think everybody does. That's what the fatigue is. But he gives a couple tips to get over the fatigue. So like one of them is like don't try to know everything, and I think that's a lot of the problems with the people that are our developers is like we have this thirst for knowledge. Like we love learning, we love doing new things, but the minute that you know that 20 new things just came out yesterday, you get kind of like stressed that you don't know it, and like some type of job security relies on your ability to know certain things. So I understand that. also people get on the bleeding edge, and he advises that you should wait for critical mass. Like
Mm-hmm.
React 2 years ago was probably bleeding edge, and now it's getting mass. So maybe right now is probably the perfect time to jump in because it's going to approach critical mass very soon, and you can wait for people to just flesh out their ideas. Like I know Ben Newman is into this thing called rollup.js to handle like this whole module system, but
Mm-hmm.
it's super bleeding edge, and even he says it's something that he's going to watch, and if it gets better. Oh, the classic train. The classic train just came by. I
Yeah.
always listen. I always listen to that on the podcast. So, but anyway, back to the thing. So Ben Newman, he's waiting on Rollup, and he's going to wait till it hits critical mass, and then maybe he'll consider it for Meteor. And some other things is like when you learn these things, like I did for the deep stream, you just do like a small pet project, and you
Mm-hmm.
don't spend a lot of time on it. You just create a small project, learn what it's about, and then dump it in the trash. Like who cares, as long as you like learn something from doing it. And sorry for going through all these points, but the last point, and I think is the most important point, is like find yourself outside of your work and do other things than just programming or like solving problems. Like anything that's not related to your work is going to help ease your fatigue. So if like you like to go hiking, or if you like to indie movies, or like all these little things that people like, you should go do those things more when you're like fatigued, because that'll help you like alleviate the stress of like all this JavaScript fatigue.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually a great point for life in general.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I think Axel writes. He helps do JavaScript Weekly. Maybe I want to say
Oh yeah,
one of those. I'll have to confirm that.
he's a really smart guy, talented author. I lean on his publications to learn things like, and he's coming out with this piece that is, hey, focus on non-technical things,
Mm-hmm.
be more well-rounded, because the minute you like lock yourself in to this lifestyle like of an engineer, like you're like constantly doing everything, all you think about, like it's like that's like no way to live personally.
Yeah.
Like sometimes when we like, even you probably, like when we're working and we're like super focused on solving something, and like our minds are so like concentrated on doing this, sometimes you forget to eat, right? Sometimes you forget to go outside, like all this stuff that just clouds your mind because you're so focused.
Mm-hmm.
Like if like one of my friends said like, oh, I want to be a software engineer, I was like, yo, you should not be a software engineer, because like if you have an addictive personality to like always learn and like just like work and stuff, like it's going to be killer for you, because it's going to be unhealthy actually for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't wish this on anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Like I think I think people that are open to React or open to like developing everything in JavaScript are probably closer to the bleeding edge, and that's probably why a lot of us kind of feel like we have JavaScript fatigue. Like I even tweeted a couple weeks ago, like I wish I had more time to go learn all the interesting and exciting stuff that's coming out in the JavaScript ecosystem, because like I haven't even had a chance to really play with React Native. Like I've just been relying on Cordova and using that to build mobile apps, but I think React Native would be super interesting. Or like I've just in the last month and a half really started playing with React myself. So I mean, it definitely can feel like you should know more, but I think he's right. Like it's okay if you don't,
Yeah,
like, it's not the end of the world. And he had another point in here too. Like every piece of technology you bolt onto the app you're building just makes it that much harder for someone else to come in and kind of contribute to your project. And
yeah,
like that's the biggest thing that always drew me to Meteor is like I don't have to worry about bolting in too many other technologies to get an app built. I just rely
yeah,
on Meteor, and like it sets the stage for how an app should be built. And I've certainly seen in my time like a lot of different Rails apps. and they're all built slightly different, of course, depending on the developer. But nothing was worse than when I was in the kind of the Backbone community. Like every Backbone application I saw was like 100% different. Like it was
Yeah,
so bizarre.
I
And
hate Backbone for that reason. I'll say it. I hate Backbone. I think it's like this is a really strong opinion, but I think it sucks. So
well, it wasn't. I don't think it was enough of an opinionated kind of
exactly.
to install, and so everybody kind of like filled in the gaps themselves, and that led to pain. Like the worst project I was on, we came in and like it was written in Backbone, and I had never seen anyone even write an application in this style before. But then, like the guy that wrote it all was quitting the day we started on the project. So,
Oh man,
yeah, it was.
lost in translation there. You know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, they scrapped the whole thing. It's terrible, but
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't think you have that with Meteor.
definitely not. Like you don't have to manage all this overhead
Yeah,
that other things have to put on you. And honestly, like the people at Meteor, like they're passionate about solving the stuff that you don't want to solve.
yeah,
Because I don't want to work on a build tool, to be honest. I think it's the most boring thing. You have to
yeah.
do like a grunt or gulp setup, like shoot me, please, just do it.
Ah,
Here's the gun, shoot me, done. But with Meteor, I don't have to manage any of this stuff. I don't have to minify my CSS. That would
mhm.
suck. All this great stuff that now I can just focus on things that I do get excited about.
Exactly.
And actually, that actually reduces our fatigue. Like we're in the media community, we're fatigued by other things. We're not really fatigued by the same things that most JavaScript developers are fatigued about.
Yes, we're fatigued over pull requests getting in.
Yeah, yeah, we're
Which is,
fatigued about.
there's worse things in life, I think.
Seriously, there are worse things. But now that we're going to be integrated with the JavaScript community, there are some fears of you guys getting fatigued, especially the Meteor listeners. Read this article, and you'll probably be fine.
Yeah, yeah. Just know, like it's not the end of the world. I had a boss, so I worked at Avon, as in like Avon lady calling, and I was
Hmm.
in the IT department here in Cincinnati. They had a call center, and like people would just get so stressed out about their job, and our boss would just like come out of his office and he'd be like, "Everybody, calm down. We're not curing world hunger. We're not sending people to the moon. We make lipstick. We'll live." And I was like, yeah, you're right. Like there's no app that I'm building that's gonna probably change the world. At least if I'm building it for a client, like maybe a small change, but I if I get it done today or I get it done tomorrow or whatever it is, like it's not the end.
Yeah, no app is worth your sanity or your well-being. So
Agreed.
that's another thing to think. So
Agreed.
cool. This is a great lineup of posts.
Yeah. I'm finding it interesting to like let the community kind of dictate what we talk about. These are not like I probably would have chose some of those posts, but not all of them. So it's interesting.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Usually there's like mostly it's like meteor biased or things like that.
Hmm.
But this was really good. It was like fresh, and then we could bring our meteor influences into it, which I really liked. So that was
Yeah, definitely.
cool.
Yeah, so I gotta say, like Deco, I think was like the number one top voted story, or was tied for number one. So
Nice.
people are interested in this stuff,
Yeah.
at least in Meteor Land. All right. Well, thank you, Abhi, for filling in.
Hey,
Really.
thanks for having me. I love to do this anytime you need me.
Yeah, definitely. I think that may happen more than not. I don't know. We'll see. Ben's certainly busy now with transmission as well, and I kind of took his time today for Space Dojo show as well. So
Yeah. If the audience loves me, I'll be back.
tweet, yeah. If you love Abhi, tweet it. Yeah,
Yeah.
there we
Tweet
go.
me. Cool.
What is your Twitter handle?
It's Abhi Aiyer and ABHIAIYER. It's really hard to spell, but I usually tweet Josh. I tweet Ben. Like I'm in the Twitterverse for Meteor.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you don't know me, you will. So
Yeah.
cool.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in and listening. I really appreciate it, and we'll be back next week for sure. We'll see who's on. Maybe if enough people tweet, maybe we'll have Abhi on. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I'll be back.
And as always, we've got the Space Dojo Slack chat room, which is a pretty awesome place to hang out.
Ooh, can I give like a customer success story on the Space Dojo Slack?
Yeah.
Because I am part of the Slack channel.
Yeah.
Hey, if you want to talk to other Meteor developers and like have good conversations, arguments, like things that really like push the boundary of like what you know and all that type of stuff. Like I would consider joining the Slack chat room. I'm there. There are a lot of smart people there, and if you need help, like everybody's down to help. Everybody's down to help you solve your issues. Like I've met a bunch of online friends from it. I've met Ben and Josh through that. I met David Sikora, like all OK Grow. Like everybody's in that chat room. So if you're part of the community, you should be there.
Yes, that's awesome. Thank you.
No worries.
I think people don't believe me, but it's like I feel like if you took Stack Overflow as a concept and like made it real time and made it like 5 times better, like the answers you likely get will be right. Like that's more what the Space Dojo like general chat room is, or the sub chat rooms, right? Like React or any of those places.
Yeah, there's a ton of good content in there.
Yeah, definitely. And you can come in and make fun of Ben with the rest of us.
Yeah. Oh, and the great thing with Ben being in there, he lets us know what's going on transmission before it happens, like all that great insider stuff. So
indeed,
get on it.
Inside baseball. And then, as always, Modulus is our sponsor. So if you're looking for hosting, you could go somewhere else, or you could go to Modulus. I think Modulus is a great place to host applications. I know that there's a ton of options out there now, but very few are turnkey, and that is definitely one of them. So, all right. Thanks, Abhi. We'll see you guys next week. This video has been a Space Dojo production. You can click the Learn More button to find out more about us at spacedojo.com. Or you can click the subscribe button to get notified about new videos we put out each week. Thanks for watching.